Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Kate Martell. I'm the Admissions Marketing Manager here at School Year Abroad, and I would like to welcome you to the SYA France Hangout tonight. I have some special guests with me here in the home office. Anna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Anna Hughes. I am an Assistant Director of Admissions at School Year Abroad. I'm also the SYA France Country Manager this year, and I'm an SYA Spain alum.
Great. Thank you, Anna. And joining us, we also have three SYA France alums. If you wanted to introduce yourself, maybe Heather, you want to start?
Yeah, hi, I'm Heather. I'm from Essex, Massachusetts. I go to the Hotchkiss School in Lakeville, Connecticut, and I'm a graduate of SYA France last year, 2015.
Great. And to our alums, if you also just want to make sure you're, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure. Okay. Cool. Isabella, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Isabella. I'm also an alum of SYA class of 2015. And I go to Milton Academy, and I'm from Boston, and I go to school in Boston.
All right. Hi, my name's Sam Denby. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I go to St. Albans School.
Awesome. Thank you. So tonight we're going to ask our alums some questions, and then we're going to open it up to the audience. So if you want to just mute yourself when you're not speaking, that way I think we can get rid of some of that feedback that we're hearing here.
Okay.
Cool.
Wait, do you know how I'm capable of doing that?
I think you can just hit your sound bar, like your
Okay.
audio.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Cool. So let's start with Heather, since you have not muted yourself yet. We'll start with you. If you want to talk a little bit about, so these students that are watching today, also, if you have questions, if you want to put them in the comment box below the video, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. And also, if you want to put your name and your school and the state that you live in, so that we can all start to get to know each other. So Heather, if you want to talk a little bit about how you felt when you were accepted to SYA. Everyone that's watching, that's been invited, has just gotten their acceptance. How did you feel? What were your first thoughts? And what made you decide to attend?
Well, I remember I actually very clearly remember getting the email saying that I had been accepted, and I go to boarding school, so I walked into my friend's room and I was like, I got into SYA, and she was like, cool. Like, are you not like sad? Like, I'm gonna leave next year. Like, doesn't that make you a little sad? And she was like, no, no, no. Like, you're gonna have a good time. And I was like, okay. But and I was very excited, and it was something that I had thought about a lot, and kind of just it all kind of fell into place and happened. And I was very nervous. I spent the entire summer kind of freaking out. I cried in the airport on the way there, but that's funny. My mom likes to remind me of that. She thinks it's hilarious. Anyway, because I came back and I was so excited. I was crying like in the airport leaving because I didn't want to come back. So it was just like it was a crazy, crazy time. I never would have guessed that that moment was going to be so pivotal in terms of the next year of my life and beyond. But yeah.
That's great. What about you, Isabella? What do you think? How did you feel? What were your emotions going through your mind at the time, and what made you decide to attend?
Well, honestly, I applied to SYA kind of out on a limb. It was one of those things where I told my friends I was interested and that I thought I was going to apply, and their initial reaction was, "Oh, you just say these things, you won't actually go." And I was really interested in it, and I ended up applying. And when I found out that I got in, it was suddenly like, "Oh my gosh, this is real! Like, is this something I actually want to do?" And honestly, so far in my life, it's the best decision I've ever made, and for myself. I mean, I've grown so much as a person thanks to SYA. It's like the build up to go is difficult. I going to SYA, I was leaving all my friends here and also my boyfriend, and we're still together. But I was leaving that, and that was terrifying for me at first. But the minute that I got there, it had really become real to me. And it's very special.
Thanks. Glad to hear you guys are still together. Congratulations. What about you, Sam? What were you feeling when you found out that you were accepted, and what made you decide to attend?
Well, I convinced myself that I wasn't going to get in, so I was very excited when I did. I was sitting right here actually, got the email, and called my mom and stuff, and it was very exciting. But then I didn't think about it too much, and it didn't really strike me what I was doing until I was actually on the bus from the Paris airport to Rennes. So I don't know, I didn't think about it too much. I guess I was pretty nervous, but I really had a feeling that it was going to be a lot of fun, and I immediately chose to go because it seemed like there was nothing wrong with it and everything right. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Nothing wrong with it and everything right. For those of you who are just joining us on our chat tonight with some SYA France alums, I'm seeing lots of questions come in, so put your questions in the box below the chat box and introduce yourselves if you want to list your name and your school and the, I'm sorry, not the country that you're going to because you're going to France, but the state that you live in. And we're going to keep asking our alums some questions, and then we'll turn the questions over to yours. So, Heather, do you want to talk a little bit about your first impressions of the school and your RD, the classmates, and what the first few days were like at SYA France?
Yeah, so first of all, the school is stunning. It's very pretty, and it's very much, you feel like you're going to school in France, which is just kind of like a funny feeling because that's something you really think about. But the first few days were super chaotic. It was kind of getting to know Ren, getting to know the school, getting to know the classmates, and it was a ton of fun. It was probably one of the highlights of my experience there, just because we spent a week kind of out and about and like getting to see Ren and being able to understand how things work and where to go, and that was a ton of fun. And just adjusting to classes, it was interesting going from having all of your classes in English to all of your classes in French. But the faculty at SYA France are probably some of the most influential and exciting faculty that I've had as a student. They've all been there for years and years and years and know exactly how to kind of like deal with Americans. They know they talk very slowly at first, so you know exactly what they're saying. They will repeat things a million times until you get it, which is helpful, especially at the beginning. But yeah, it's really like the teachers there are some of the most passionate and exciting teachers I've had, which was just so incredible, because when you think about going, you're thinking more about kind of going to live in France, but you don't think as much about, if you're me anyway, you don't think as much about like what kind of education am I going to be getting, and you're going to be getting an incredible education.
Thanks, Heather. Yeah, no, that's great, and that's a good segue. We're going to talk about classes in a minute. But Isabel or Sam, do you want to talk about your first impressions of the school, your first impressions of Ren, your classmates? Maybe was there something that you were excited about, something that you wanted to do the moment that you got to France? That's correct.
Yeah, I agree that the first couple of days were really exciting. A lot of people told me beforehand that with any study abroad thing, the first 3 days are horrible, but then it gets better. But I found it complete. I mean, it was the first couple of days were a lot of fun, getting to meet everyone. I was probably most excited to see the city where I was going to live in for the next 9 months. And we did our first kind of school event was a scavenger hunt through the city, which was a lot of fun. And meeting my host family was a lot of fun during those first few days. So the beginning was great.
Jet lagged, right? Everyone always talks about jet lag the first day or so. What about you, Isabel?
I mean, I was pretty scared, especially because the school that I go to a half-day, half-boarding school. I've been a day student at this particular school since kindergarten. So, I've been surrounded by the same types of people for 12 years. So I wasn't really quite sure what to do once I arrived and met all these different types of people who I hadn't been exposed to yet. So yeah, honestly, it was a little terrifying for me at first, but I realized that there was a whole world outside of my school, a whole world of students who were so intellectual and stimulating to me that, I made friends instantly with people. The friends that I made at SYA are definitely like the strongest friends that I've made throughout my life. And it really just, like, we were kind of like, everybody bonded so easily from the beginning. It wasn't like there weren't like any cliques, and you just kind of you were friendly with everyone. We were totally a family, just even from like the first week of being together.
Nice. Yeah, we just talked at the SYA China Hangout kind of about how this experience brings you all together, even though you might be from, the totally different West Coast, East Coast, or different schools or different backgrounds. You're all kind of united by the same fact that you're doing this all together. And you're all a little bit scared, a little bit excited. What about you, Anna? What were your first impressions when you went to SYA?
I was definitely petrified the first couple of days, but it also was just there was an adrenaline rush literally for the first month. And you're just eating new things, meeting new people. So it was just so exciting. And I think the jitters, my just confidence in my decision kind of won over the jitters. So.
Well, we do have some more questions coming in, so for those of you just joining us, if you want to introduce yourselves in the chat box and put any questions that you might have underneath, we'll do our best to answer them in a few minutes. But we are going to run through just a couple more questions with some of our SYA France alums. So Heather, do you want to talk for a minute about your host family and if you have a favorite memory of your host family?
Yeah, I'm going to preface this with I don't think I can name a favorite memory with my host family because honestly, they're probably like the best people I know. I loved my host family. So to pick one favorite memory is actually really, really difficult. But when I had no idea what I was going to get in terms of kind of my host family, and I still Skype with them once a month. I email them. I send them Christmas presents. My host dad wears a scarf I got him every day, which was a big win for me. I was really excited about it. So I really had no idea how much that this one kind of family who, if I hadn't filled out the application for SYA, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, I would have never met them. And they are just my favorite people. I miss them every single day. So.
Aw, sweet. And scarves are big in France. Yeah. So the fact that your host father wears the scarf that you picked out for him every day is like a big win. Totally. It's kind of a big deal. Isabel, what about classes? So were they different or similar from the classes that you were taking at home? And what's it like taking classes all in French?
So I would first start off by saying that it's a little surreal when you get to the classroom, especially because I thought going to SYA that I was going to know how to speak French. I was told at my school that I was level 3 French, which is actually like a substantially good level to be in. I was told that I would probably know the most out of everyone in the class, and surely enough, I knew absolutely nothing compared to most of the kids. And then by the end of the year, I was pretty much completely fluent. So, you get to your class, and usually they do a good job of matching up classes so that you're working with people that are on the same level as you. It's hard because obviously you start off and there are a lot of words I hear that I don't understand, a lot of phrases I'm not understanding, and then you hear the phrases over and over again, and it starts to become more real. And once you hear these things multiple times, it starts to make more sense.
So hi Carter. So we have another alum that's joining us, Carter, who just got out of her night class. So I also want to thank publicly all of our busy alums who are joining us tonight. Thank you so much. I know that you guys are wildly busy. So Carter, I'll ask you to introduce yourself really quick. If you want to just say your name, the school that you go to, and the state that you're from.
So I'm from Andover, Mass, and I go to Brooks School, which is in North Andover. And yeah, and I'm a senior like everybody else.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. I drive by Brooks every day on my way here to work at the office, so I'll wave next time I go by. Shortly after this. So we were just answering a few more questions from our alums, and then we're going to turn it over to questions from the audience. So we'll ask Sam if you want to talk about, Sam and then Carter. And Carter, if you want to mute yourself while you're not talking, so that way we won't have any feedback because we've been experiencing just a little bit today, but that's okay. Sam, do you want to talk about extracurriculars? I know you played a sport while you were over in France.
Yeah, like many people, I decided to play a sport there. I played varsity hockey at my school here, freshman and sophomore year. So even before I went, I started looking into if it was possible to play hockey there, and I was surprised that it actually is. It's not incredibly popular, but there's a rink in Rennes, and there's a team. So I made contact with the coach shortly before I got there, and I brought all my stuff over. And yeah, we practiced twice a week, Wednesday afternoons, since school gets off early on Wednesdays, and Friday nights. And I was the only American on the team, so it was complete immersion. And it was a lot of fun because it's quite a different experience to play a sport in a different language. And you know, there are some similarities, there are some differences, but it was definitely a lot of fun, and it just helped, and also exposed me to other French kids my age. So I learned, you know, colloquial French instead of like classroom French a little bit more, and yeah.
Nice. And I'm sure a whole array of hockey terms in French. Did you have to figure out pretty quickly what the different plays were and different names for things hockey related?
Well, they actually use English terms for almost everything.
Oh, cool.
Almost everything they say, because you know they just, I don't know why, but almost every word is like very similar, or the English word.
Cool. That works out then. Good. What about the ladies? Carter, did you participate in any extracurriculars while you were in France? Wait, you're still muted. Still muted. Still muted. There you go. Okay.
So on Saturday mornings, or no, actually in the afternoons, from like mid-morning to afternoon, my friend Kate and I did a art class in the kind of main downtown area at a park nearby. Not like in a park, but it was in a building near in a park, and so that was, and Kate and I are super into kind of the visual arts, so so that's what we did on Saturdays. But and that was really cool, just because like it kind of allowed a space that was like kind of transcended language in a way, as cliche as that sounds, because there weren't a ton of people. Obviously, people weren't talking that much, but or not at all. But like in the moments that like people did have kind of just, I don't know, can you pass me a canvas or whatever, you know, like whatever it might have been. It was just nice to have people be in the same space doing the same thing, their own thing. And the teacher was kind of facilitating it in a way that wasn't like, you know, like you have to do this, you're going to learn it this way, which is really cool and really freeing for Kate and I, and to kind of like be a part of their culture in a way that we know how to do already. And then I also did Zumba on at the SYA at the college or the university right near our school on I think Thursday, Tuesday, and Friday nights or something like that, and that was really fun. It was like also kind of the same situation where like I guess I just ended up choosing things that like you don't have to talk to people that much, but that was yeah, it was cool to like just like I don't know dance with people that you didn't know, dancing with strangers. So that's what we did. That's what I did.
Yeah, I actually only dance with strangers where I know like I'm never going to see them ever again. I do have a question that I'll ask while we're on this topic about someone did ask if there's time for fitness or exercise. So yes, would you guys say yes? I mean, I know that students have done Pilates or yoga and things like that before, and they asked if the school has a weight room, which I don't believe they do, but can anyone tell me if there's a local gym nearby that anyone might have joined or someone
Yeah,
that you know?
there's a gym that probably almost a majority of the class was a member of that gave like a really good deal for the year to SYA students. It was like €100 for the whole year, which
Oh,
is pretty good for a gym. And
yeah.
it was small, but you know you'd see classmates there and stuff, and you even got to know people there. And that's only 2 blocks away from school, so you can just go after school, and they have classes and stuff too.
Cool. What about, did anybody else do any other kind of fitness-related extracurricular or anything like that?
Well, actually, I played tennis, and so did Carter, actually. But we both went to different clubs, and we had pretty different experiences from what I understand. But I actually was introduced to one of a really good French friend of mine who I made, Anaïs, and I ended up playing tennis with 3 other girls once a week, and we literally just rally back and forth. I'm not like a super duper competitive player, but I like to play with my friends. I wanted to get the physical activity. And it's really a great experience. It's very enjoyable. It's a great way to get assimilated into the community and also meet some local French kids. I mean, these kids ended up living right down the street from me, so I saw them when I got on the bus in the morning and when I came home from school. So it was really convenient.
That's awesome. So we're going to move on from extracurriculars and move on really quick to travel. Something that incoming students always want to know about is travel. So do you guys want to start, and maybe Carter will start with you if you're cool with that. Yeah. And talk about maybe what your favorite trip was, either independently or with the group.
So in February, wait, am I? Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
So in February, 2 of my friends and I went to Budapest, Hungary, for 4 days or something, and we kept just like, it was one of the most amazing experiences because like we just kept having to like remind ourselves that we were as young as we were and seeing so much of a place that we, you know, just like so much of a kind of continent that we'd never like really in depth, like explored in depth before. So that was really cool. It was just we were doing very like adult things, like renting like hostel rooms, and that, I mean, you can do that anywhere, but like I guess it just felt cool to be so far away from home. I mean, but like specific to Budapest, we got to go and like see the trolleys and like some of the art museums, and yeah, public transport was huge to kind of understand if you were in a new city or spot or whatever. But yeah, it was just kind of very, very surreal to be having obviously as much fun as we were, but then also just like having the independence that we did, which was really cool. It was very liberating.
Cool. Thank you, Carter. Heather, what about you? Favorite trip, either independently or with the group?
I think oh, this is so hard. I think if I had to choose a favorite trip, I would have to say I went to Berlin for 3 days, and it was just so incredible. It was such a cool city to see, very much unlike any other city I'd ever stayed in or visited before. And it was only 3 days, but we fit a lot into 3 days. We were so tired. We got up at 8. We would come back at 8, walk around the entire day. I remember one time my best friend was like, we're going to go on this walk. And so we went on this walk, and we were walking for like 3 hours. I was so hungry. I was so mad at her, but it was so cool to see the city. And it was kind of like, it's little moments like that I look back on, and I just so wish that I could be doing that this year instead of having to like be in school, which SYA is school, but it's just so cool to be able to do things like that and just have them at your fingertips.
Right. So. Cool, thank you. What about you, Isabel?
Well, my travel was a little bit different because I actually did do quite a bit of independent travel, but I did a lot of it alone, actually. It's hard for me to say because my two favorite trips, because they're very much tied. Carter and two other friends of ours went to Paris for a weekend. I think it was in April, and that was amazing. I so love Paris, and it's such a pleasure to be there. But when I traveled alone, I actually went to visit some friends that I have in the south of France, and I made those friends from a different immersion program that I had done, an exchange that I had done in the past with my school here in Boston. But independent travel is remarkable. I mean, you see the world through someone else's eyes, through your eyes, and it's without, tour buses. It's without a guide. And I think that that's what makes it so remarkable, is that if you're on your own, you're exploring where you are, and it's all up to you. The agenda is completely up to you.
Cool. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, so the independent travel and school travel too, that was probably one of my favorite aspects of the whole program. The travel through the school is really well done, really well organized. You get to visit really cool places that you've just been studying in class. So even if you're studying something not very interesting, it's made interesting because you're going to the place where it is. So it's really hard to say my favorite trip, but I also went to Budapest and Berlin, and those were two cities that I really liked. At the very last school trip was to Normandy to see all the World War II sites. It was so interesting to see everything that you read about and you see movies about and you hear about in person, where history happened, and it made it all very real. So I mean, the independent travel and the school travel is a really good opportunity. I don't think I ever spent any vacation time in Rennes because I was so excited to go visit various places, and it's really unique, and to be able to do that at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Totally. Cool. Thank you. Well, we're just at about 8 o'clock, so I'm going to ask one more question, and that is, what piece of advice do you have for next year's students? And is there one thing that they have to do when they get to Rennes? Is there one place that they have to eat? Is there one thing they have to do? Or is there like an overall general piece of advice that you would give to yourself if you were in their shoes?
So one of my favorite places to go out to dinner is actually called Le Wok. So I don't know if we have any viewers that are into Asian cuisine, but Le Wok is so good. Another thing before I let someone else go is there's a carnival that actually happens sort of in the center of Rennes around, I would like to say around like winter time. It's super fun. It's so colorful. You can meet a ton of local kids there, and it's just like a great place to hang out with your friends. it's like nothing I've ever seen in my entire life because you have this city and then there's just a carnival right in the center, and it's really, really amazing.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
I like
Heather
that.
or Carter?
I think that the biggest piece of advice, if I could kind of go back, and I don't know if this is the question, go back. I wish that I'm very, very studious. I'm really education is like my #1 priority. But I think that if I wish that there were moments last year where I wish I had just been like, just go out, like go see what there is to see, like don't get wrapped up in like what there is like in front of you in terms of like your textbook, like just go see what there is, and don't be afraid to kind of maybe like be a little late. Don't be afraid to maybe miss an assignment. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just to really take advantage of every single moment that you have there, and don't get caught up in kind of the small details.
Right. That's the overlying idea, is to not get caught up in things, and definitely Anna mentioned before, not taking your time over there for granted.
Mm-hmm.
By no means are we telling you to blow off your homework, but like Heather said, yes, it's a balance, right? It's a balance.
And I think so. Like when I was homesick, I in the beginning of the year always was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch, because we didn't have Netflix, so I had to go buy DVDs and convert my computer into Spanish. But like, rather than doing that, like do something quintessentially French, and I think that will kind of, I don't know, take you away from your homesickness for a while.
Yeah.
So I think that also is important to do when you are feeling a little bit homesick.
Yeah. What about you, Carter? Piece of advice?
Yeah, okay, so I would say two big things. Okay, so I was late a lot, but I turned out okay. So, like people are pretty easygoing over there. But I would say two pieces of advice would be, one is to independent travel if you can. Save up your money, get a job before you go, get a job in the summer before you go, and you can, send yourself off somewhere, because truly that was probably one of the biggest highlights of my year. And then the other thing is that just like, as much as it literally is one of the most painful things in the world, you gotta force yourself to speak the language. You really have got to. You can't, and of course it's like all the teachers at the school are gonna be, just hitting you over the head with it over and over and over, and you're like, all you're gonna want to do is just speak English. You speak the language that actually interests you, that isn't just like in class. And with your host parents, even if your host parents are cool, if you can like connect with your host sibling, or find friends that maybe are like local kids, that make you want to speak it. Like, if you have to find ways that it's like relevant to you, and that's how I felt like by the end of the year. I was very, very comfortable with it, and then I guess that's kind of how I got there. You have to find different ways to like make yourself get kind of normalize, make it normalized. But yeah, so speak the language and travel as much as you can.
Great advice. Excellent. Sam, any thoughts? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, my advice is like Heather's. Don't squander the opportunity. Don't spend any time not doing something. Don't spend any time, just in your room on your computer. You should spend every minute, out and about. There's so much to explore in Rennes, or in France, or in Europe, or you can, get to know your host family better, get your, advance your French. With such a unique opportunity, you can't waste it. And if you're bored while there, you're doing something wrong. So get out and do stuff.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, we're just at past 8 o'clock, so we are going to sign off. But I do want to put out a couple of plugs out there for, if you are not following us on Instagram, find us on Instagram, where we are constantly putting up new photos from our kids that are abroad that are currently in France right now. And for you alums that are watching too, like you can go and follow us and like post pics and tag us and like be our friend. And follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, and you can also check out our YouTube channel where we have lots of videos, including the welcome video from SYA France, which I actually think that you SYA France kids have watched the heck out of that video. There's like over 300 views of it, so I don't know if one of you has just had it on repeat, but
3 days.
Whatever, I hope you like it from our current students abroad. If you have any questions, I'll post Anna's contact information down the bottom, but you should be in touch with her if you have any questions, thoughts, feelings, or just want to talk. And see how Anna's day is going. Feel free to be in touch with her. And I want to give a big thank you to our SYA France alums, Carter, Heather, Isabel, and Sam. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I know that incoming students love to hear from our alums, and you guys know SYA France, you guys are the experts. So thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a great night. Congratulations again to everyone who's watching this. Congrats on being the class of SYA France 2017. Yay! All right, everyone. Good night. Thanks so much.
Thank you.